Is your mare pacing, acting flirty, or even getting a bit more aggressive than usual? If you've seen it, you know exactly what I mean. These behaviors aren't random. They're her way of telling you she's in heat. Recognizing these signs is essential, whether you're breeding, ensuring safety, or just trying to manage her mood. In this video, we'll walk you through the clear signs that tell you she's ready to mate. By the end, you'll know exactly how to tell if your horse is in season. Let's dive right in. First off, let's talk about what being in heat actually means. Being in heat refers to a mare's natural reproductive cycle when she is fertile and ready to mate. It's similar to the menstrual cycle in humans, but instead of bleeding, mares go through a period when their body are hormonally primed for breeding. During this time, the mare's body releases hormones, and she exhibits specific behaviors and physical signs that signal her readiness to breed. It's like she's saying, "Hey, I'm ready to meet Mr. Right." The cycle lasts about 21 days, and they are usually in heat for 5 to 7 days. But every mare is different. Some may show signs for a little longer, while others may show signs for a shorter period. You must also understand that mares are most likely to go into heat during the warmer months. So you're looking at March through September. That's when their cycles are most active, thanks to longer days and more sunlight. Outside of these months, they enter a resting phase, during which they cycle less. So why does this matter? Recognizing when your mare is in heat helps you time breeding effectively. If you want to produce offspring, knowing a horse's cycle means you won't miss the window. It's also important for handling, as some mares can get a little feisty when they're in heat. Understanding this behavior helps keep things safe and calm. That said, let's dive straight into the signs of a mare in heat. We'll start with behavioral signs. The first behavioral sign is seen through the interaction between a stallion and a mare. When a mare is in heat, you'll notice the stallion showing a keen interest in her. He might nuzzle her, nick her, or even pace back and forth, trying to get closer. The mare, in turn, may respond by showing flirtatious behavior, such as turning toward him, lifting her tail, and even following him around. She might also become more vocal, making noises that signal her readiness to mate. If she's in heat, the mare will stay near the stallion, and you may even notice her teasing him a little, showing interest, but not fully engaging right away. This interaction can be a dance of sorts, with the stallion trying to get close, and the mare deciding whether she's fully ready to engage. If the stallion is interested or if the mare is in heat, the behavior becomes much more cooperative and aligned. Another behavioral sign the mare is likely to show is allowing mating. When a mare is in heat, one of the most obvious signs is that she will allow mating. This is a clear indication that she's ready to breed. A mare in heat will stand still and show interest when a stallion approaches. She might lift her tail, stand close to the stallion, or even back up to him in a way that indicates she's receptive. If she's not in heat, she'll move away from the stallion. Allowing mating isn't just about standing still. It's a sign that her hormones are in sync with nature's breeding cycle. Before we proceed to the next signs, take a moment to subscribe. If you're serious about understanding your mare's cycle, this channel's got you covered. Now that you've subscribed and understood the behavioral signs, let's move on to physical or body indicators. These are the more obvious, visible signs that tell you your mare is in heat and ready for mating. The first physical clue is tail-lifting behavior. When a mare is in heat, one of the most noticeable physical signs is tail-lifting behavior. This is her way of signaling that she's ready to mate. She will raise her tail high and keep it held up, often turning it to one side to expose her hindquarters to the stallion. This is her way of making it easier for the stallion to detect her scent, an instinct that triggers mating behavior. When you see this, it's a pretty clear indication that your mare is in season. Tail lifting is one of the most consistent signs that mares exhibit when they're in heat. Other behaviors, such as increased interest in stallions or interactions with other horses, often accompany it. The next sign is increased urination and squatting. Mares in heat will urinate more frequently than usual, and when they do, it may not be the typical standing posture. You might notice her squatting slightly or stopping frequently to urinate in small amounts. This is part of her natural attempt to attract a stallion. When a mare is in heat, her urine changes chemically, giving off a scent that stallions find appealing. By urinating more often and in smaller bursts, she's essentially marking her territory and signaling to nearby stallions that she's fertile and ready to breed. So, if you notice your mare urinating more frequently, especially in smaller amounts, it's likely a sign that she's in season. Another sign is winking of the vulva. This behavior involves the mare repeatedly opening and closing the lower part of her vulva, creating a subtle wink. It's a clear physical signal that she's ready to mate. This action is often accompanied by other signs of heat, like tail lifting or increased interest in the stallion. Winking is not only a physical manifestation of a horse's heat cycle, but it's also an invitation to the stallion to come closer. Although winking is a common sign, some mares do it even when they're not in heat. So you need to look for it in combination with other signs to confirm she's in season. But when you see it, know that your mare is sending a strong signal to nearby stallions. The final physical indicator is swelling and moisture of the vulva. These are one of the clearest and most physical signs that a mare is in heat. During this time, the mare's vulva will become noticeably swollen, and it may also secrete some fluid. This is a natural part of her body preparing for breeding. The swelling and moisture make it easier for the stallion to detect her readiness to mate. You'll notice that the area may look redder or more pronounced than usual. The moisture that is present helps lubricate the area for mating, and it's a clear visual cue that she's fertile. If you observe this physical change in addition to the other signs, it's a strong indicator that your mare is in heat and ready for breeding. Now, we're moving on to emotional changes, where you might notice shifts in your mare's mood and actions during heat. A common emotional change is crankiness. Mares are likely to be cranky when in heat. Just like humans, hormonal fluctuations can make mares a little more irritable or moody. You might notice her becoming more dominant or acting out of character, especially if there are other mares around. It's not that she's being difficult on purpose. It's just her hormones causing her to feel a little more on edge than usual. This crankiness can also stem from her increased desire to find a mate or the physical discomforts of being in heat. Another typical emotional change is increased aggression. Along with crankiness, mares in heat can show increased aggression toward other horses. If there's a dominant mare or a younger one around, your mare might start challenging them, trying to assert her dominance. It's the classic "I'm the boss" behavior, and it's common during breeding season. On the flip side, mares can also become very flirtatious with the stallion, showing a completely different side of their behavior. Attention. Seeking behavior is another emotional change common in mares. Your mare will often show more interest in the stallion, wanting to be near him and acting more flirty. She might walk toward the stallion with a raised tail or start following him around more than usual. You might notice her trying to get his attention, almost as if she's trying to impress him. This is an instinct to find a mate, and it can make her appear more affectionate or bolder than usual. Finally, mares in heat often exhibit restlessness. Mares in heat can become very restless. You might see her pacing around more, unable to settle down or just standing by the fence, waiting for the stallion's attention. This restlessness is part of her increased energy levels and heightened sensitivity during the breeding season. She will also be more in tune with her body's desire to mate, and the stallion's presence can make her more eager and agitated. Now that we've covered signs of heat in mares, let's turn our attention to the stallion. Just like mares, stallions show distinct signs when they sense a mare in heat. Sign number 1 is an increased interest and attention toward the mare. Stallions are highly sensitive to the pheromones released by mares when they're in season, and they'll immediately begin to show heightened interest. You'll see them becoming more alert, often focusing on the mare, even from a distance. A stallion will walk or trot toward her, showing signs of curiosity and excitement. If the mare is in heat, the stallion will begin showing more persistent and focused behavior as he gets closer. Sign number 2 is increased vocalization. Stallions will often vocalize more when they sense a mare is in heat. This might include loud whinnies, nickering, or other calls directed at the mare. These vocalizations serve to get her attention and let other stallions know that he's interested in her. Stallions can become quite vocal during the breeding season, utilizing sound as a means of communication. If you hear your stallion calling out to a mare repeatedly, it's a pretty clear sign that he's picking up on her heat cycle. Sign number 3 is the flamen response. One of the most common signs that a stallion is sensing a mare in heat is the Flehmen response. This is when the stallion curls back his upper lip, flares his nostrils, and opens his mouth slightly. It looks a bit funny, but it's a natural behavior in stallions to help them detect pheromones in a mare's urine or scent. The Flehmen response helps the stallion analyze the chemical signals being released by the mare, which tell him if she's in heat or not. If you see your stallion doing this, it's a good indicator he's aware that the mare is in season. The final sign is restlessness and increased activity. A stallion that is aware of a mare in heat will always be restless. They will often pace around and become more agitated, especially if they are confined or separated from the mare. This is a direct result of his desire to mate. As he senses the mare's fertility, the stallion might try to move toward her, and if allowed, he could exhibit more energetic behavior, such as prancing or pacing. This restlessness is part of his natural response to the mare's scent and signals that he's ready to breed. Now that you know how to spot when your mare is in heat and when your stallion is ready, you might be wondering what steps to take next. Here's what you should do when your horse is in season. First, monitor the mare's behavior closely. While mares are in heat, they can sometimes exhibit a slightly increased level Consider providing extra care and comfort. Mares in heat might feel uncomfortable due to hormonal changes. Provide extra comfort by ensuring she has a clean, safe, and quiet environment. You can also give her additional rest if she seems more fatigued or irritable than usual. Keep her stall clean and well ventilated, as the increased moisture from her vulva might make her feel a little off. Offering her fresh water and some extra treats won't hurt either. If your goal is to breed, make a plan. If you're planning to breed, this is the ideal time to take action. Ensure you have everything ready for breeding, whether it's preparing a stallion for mating or arranging artificial insemination. Make sure the stallion is healthy and ready for breeding, and the mare is comfortable in the breeding area. You can also work with a veterinarian to ensure the timing is perfect. If you're doing natural breeding, allow the mare and stallion to interact, making sure both are calm and safe. If using artificial insemination, the semen should be carefully timed and administered. Finally, maintain a routine. Even though your mare might be a little more active or distracted, you need to maintain her routine as much as possible. Stick to her regular feeding and exercise schedule to keep her as comfortable as possible. Maintain a calm and structured environment, which can help her feel secure and reduce stress. Mares in heat are still regular horses, and continuing with their usual activities can help keep them stable and in good condition. Before we close, what should you do if your mare won't accept the stallion? Sometimes, even when she's in heat, a mare might reject the stallion. This can be for various reasons, from hormonal fluctuations to just not being quite ready to mate. If this happens, don't panic and never force the situation. Give her time. It might take another cycle or some additional time for her to feel comfortable. If the rejection continues, consult with a vet to rule out any underlying issues and ensure everything is in check for the breeding process. Now you know how to spot when your mare is in heat and what steps to take to keep her comfortable and safe. Whether you're managing her behavior or planning to breed, recognizing the signs makes all the difference. If you want to keep learning, check out our video on beginner horse riding mistakes for more tips.